Hello, this is Everything Entertainment, and this is my Invincible Season 4, Episode 8, Summary and Thoughts. And this is the finale episode. And honestly, I had a great one with this season, but honestly, there's some things that could be improved. It's so far, I think, better than the last season as a whole, but there's some areas that it could have been better, and mostly that one filler episode could have been way better. But besides that, I think this is a good season, almost as good as season one, but not as close. Maybe on par. That's a discussion for later. So to get into this video, I want to talk about the opening scene of Mark's dream sequence of the Viltrumites coming to Earth and pretty much destroying everything, which was pretty cool to see. Because honestly, that's pretty much how it would have gone if the Viltrumites was still angry at them for blowing up their planet. But luckily for Mark and everyone on Earth, that did not happen. And the dream tickets was cool. Seriously, flying on Earth using the force of the speed, the pulling tidal wave to kill people was just like this is in Mark's head. Like the fact that Mark came up with this, it's quite devious on his part. But anyway, uh it was good to see that Mark was pretty much fearful which of the virtual, which makes sense since we know how Vegetamites are. But the fact that they didn't come to Earth was a good thing, and I'm glad that he felt relieved when he didn't see them, even though that didn't change his feelings. Because in this episode, for at least a couple of days, while the Vegetamites on Earth, he was just getting PTSD, which will explain later in the video. I'll break up this finale in parts since there's no. Even though it flows correctly, it's easier to break up this episode in parts. So I will do that. But anyway, it's good to see that Mark got to Earth safely and the Velociraptor was not there when he showed up. Which this changes in the comics. In the comics, he gets there and then Drag gets there and then he explains that with Nolan, but that's completely different in the show. In the show, it just dragged and Invincible by the end, which I think is better because in the comics, it's like it makes sense. They're not there. No, we are. We explain what we did. We accept your terms, and it kind of makes sense why Nolan is there with Mark when they have that talk. But I think it's better that it's one on one. I think it's better that the discussion is one on one because, as you know, Drag is the big bad villain for pretty much the rest of the show, and the fact that they had this one on one conversation just leads to them having more conflict in the future. It's just a nice bonus. It's not like the whole episode changes what happened in the comic, but it's better this way as a whole. That it flows better. What I'm trying to say is instead of just having a moment to explain what is happening, they have this whole episode thinking they're safe until boom, they won. And I like that better than the comics popping up. Like the comics are good. I think the show just made it good in a different way, essentially. So yeah, I'll explain that by the end how I feel about that. But as a whole, the dream sequence was great, and I felt bad for Mark for feeling relieved that the voicemail wasn't there because I knew they would show up sooner or later, but like for him, like, oh my god, they're not here, they're not here. Until he let his guard down and they was there the whole time. Now we get a quick update on Caesar trying to rescue Monster Girl and Rex, aka Robot. Rudy. I really don't like calling him Rex. Like, but that's a whole different thing. But anyway, he tried to rescue them from the Flaxen dimension, which technically they should be dead by the time they get there. So the fact that he rescued them is kind of a good deed, a nice deed, but also it's like I really don't see him doing that. I see him being more practical. This could either show that Caesar was a much nicer person than we thought, or he just really need Monster Girl and Woody there because Monster Girl is one of the strongest people on the planet, which can't really go toe to toe with a Vegemite, but hey, it's better than nothing. And Rudy is one of the smartest people on the planet, if not on Earth, which they really would have needed him during the Vegemite War. He could have produced us. Oh, well, that's spoilers. Let me not go into that yet. But anyway, this scene with the Flaxen Dimension is a good reminder that they're not coming back anytime soon, which they're coming back next season. Let's be real. Like this plotline is not going to drag on forever. They might come back on the first episode to the fourth. I doubt anything later than that. They will come back in the following season. But anyway, that's more or less a prediction. Since we know they're gonna come back, even while in the hindsight of the comics, there's no way they're not coming back. They didn't be shown killed or whatever. So yeah, they're coming back next season. Now let's talk about the Paul and Debbie line and uh the Paul and Debbie part of the episode. And I knew Paul was not gonna end up with Debbie. Like in the comics, like, oh, we got together, it's a bit of a fling. Paul's such a jerk. I don't want you here no more. Bye bye. And the show they made Paul as like a cool guy, decent guy, like really likable. Like not unlike Spider-Man Paul. Spider-Man Paul was trash. But that's a different discussion for a different video that I will never make because I do not care about that guy. But anyway, sorry, wrong tangent. Tangent aside, this relationship was pretty good to see. It pretty much sucked that they created such a great character that said, "Oh, we can't be together because the superhero nonsense is just too much." Which what happened? Like generally, they just said, "Oh, I can't really be part of this no more." Like, bro, was about that life not even a few episodes ago. Man, it was so quick. At least in the comics, there's an excuse, but for this, it's like, well, we have to pick them up, so let's just pick them up off screen. Good to see that they're still friends, but like, yeah, that's just really odd. Anyway, this relationship was pretty good, better than the comics, and I'm glad it just was a broken up thing to get Omni Man and Derry back together. Because honestly, that was really stupid in the comics. One discussion, oh, I forgive you for everything you've done. The show committed to both the tragedies of the deaths that involved Omni Man and Derry hatred for Omni Man for what he did, and they're dragging it out. Which good they need to drag it out. There's no way after all the character development they could double back and think, "Oh man, I'll gladly accept you who you are." Like I know for a fact that it's next season or well, next season they'll be like, Oliver and Mark will be like, "Wait, you got back with father?" Oliver will be hyped since this is Oliver. He doesn't really have a brain, but Mark will be like, "Are you sure about this? Are you really sure? Okay, if you're happy about that, I can already see it now. That will happen with the writing of this show, which is literally a 7 to 9 out of 10. Near perfect, but not perfect at times. So I'll give the show credit for building up such a great relationship that ended up in flames only because they had to follow the comic, which in this case, in this case, I think the show did it better. I think the show did the relationship better. I think the comics did the breakup better. I think the show is doing the recanonization. Man, I cannot say the word. Like getting Debbie and Nolan back together. They will eventually, but it's not so fast and not so simple. It's more complex, and he have to work for it, which he will. He's showing her the new him, and yeah, just solid Debbie development, which I'll add more later in the video, but solid Debbie development on her part and the writers. Now to talk about the Mark and Eve scene and obviously the pregnancy surrounding it, I'm just gonna just jump into it. This is better than the comics. The comics is like it was emotional, but I hated how much it put on Mark, even though it didn't make any sense. Like it makes sense in the show because the show did one thing the comics did and build up this moment. What I mean by this relationship is healthy and pretty good. They talkative and get messy later on in the comics, but as of now, they're pretty much in a good place with problems here and there. But that's not the superhero business. The reason the pregnancy scene is so heartbreaking, and the reason why Mark is so in pain over it now and later in the episode, is because he is technically right. He wasn't there for Eve when she needed him the most. He wasn't there emotionally, and because of that, the baby that they were supposed to have was pretty much killed. Like, yeah, killed. Like I'm trying to jump around the subject, but the baby was killed, like aborted. So there's no way trying to hide that from the video. I have to be straight with it. And the reason this works, to add more about why it works is Mark keeps emotionally like explaining himself to Eve, but not the other way around. Like what I mean by this is every time they get on the rooftop, it's mostly mainly around Mark. Don't get me wrong, Mark have like a lot of reasons, to pretty much be depressed and all the time. Heck, even in the future seasons, he's definitely going to need that rooftop to explain why he is in so much pain and why he just been hurt. So it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, he never really went over how his actions affected Eve. What I remember this is when things got serious and she started losing her powers, that's when he was there. But even then, when he was there, he wasn't really there. Like he it never felt like he was her rock, if that makes sense. Like she was there for him, without a doubt, but it never felt like he was there for her 100%. That's why she couldn't tell her about the baby when it was happening. That's why he couldn't known that they had a baby. And if he did know, he probably would have not have left, which would have caused he would have still left actually. Let me give him more credit. He would have left. But the heights I know, he's a lot more. Well, future Mark would have left. That's this is more complex. Anyway, basically, he didn't earn that trust. To keep the secret, like not keep the secret, but to learn that she was having the baby, and the fact that he could have died in space is like uh that was a situation he was ready to be prepared for. So even though I don't blame Mark for the situation, like I don't blame him. It's not his fault about the Vegemite. It's not his fault he getting beat up abused. Like just being serious here, I understand why he's devastated about the whole baby situation, about the Vegemite, and about the PTSD he got after the Vegemite war because he obviously is in a terrible situation. Which honestly, he's a lot better than me because I'd have been really depressed. I didn't want to get out of bed if it was him. But yeah, this whole situation with the baby is quite sad, and honestly, it just felt so real because I like situation where people just abort a child for no reason or for excuse. I don't want to get too personal or uh too real, but I like people that does that in real life. Eve had a reason to do that, and it makes sense. Like it was a mistake. Like the child wasn't a mistake, but it was a mistake to have a child at this moment. Because that child could have been used against him at any moment, and that would have been a real problem. So I don't blame Eve. I don't blame Mark. Like even though I just said I blame Mark, this situation was hard on both of them. And honestly, I just hope. I know they get better, but I hope they get stronger and happier from this. Even though I do know that. Now, to talk about the Shizu and Nolan scene, and that was a pretty good scene, mainly for Omni-Man, because he cannot be forgiven. Going back to the same mountain where he beat the snot out of Mark, like, there's no atonement that he could do that could ever make up for what he did. And that's clear as day. But he's still thinking I could fix everything and I feel bad for what I done. And Caesar calling him out, yeah, pretty justified. And respect for Caesar for holding his ground. Don't get me wrong, if Nolan was still hostile, I don't think he would be this open about it. But since he changed, Caesar was just talking that smack. And you know what? Gotta respect Caesar for it because there's no way you could talk that big to the guy that can kill you. Like he knows where Caesar works at. He could just go over there and kill him if this was still aggressive Nolan. But since it's not, Caesar was just talking honestly. And yeah, Caesar does have the right to complain about the whole situation because Nolan was part of it. Nolan could have helped when he changed, but you know how that ended. Literally deaths. And the number 2000 something, like Caesar said, was such a fire line. I still don't completely understand it. I need to do more research on what that line mean. Maybe the amount of time Caesar almost died his entire life. Like I don't know. I don't fully understand that line. Or maybe Nolan killed a lot of people. This should be more than 2000. So I don't think it's about that. But yeah, this scene just emphasized that he can't escape from his past, and the fact that at least he admitted to himself that yeah, I'm pretty much a monster. It's like even though I'm a monster that's trying to change, I'm still a monster. I'm still worse. It's good that he accepted it or known to be having didn't go angry. Like he was angry, but then he came to realization, no, I'm a piece of human garbage, piece of alien garbage in this case. So it was good that he reflected on it. It was just good to see this scene because the season could have ended well some more season Nolan and scenes were interesting, even though the interaction was different in comics. It was more like a joke because in reality, Caesar can't really stop Nolan from doing anything. But since it's a new Nolan, Caesar's just being a big boss and just putting Omni Man in place for his actions essentially, and just making sure I still don't like you. I pretty much hate you, but I'm gonna use your strength for this planet. So get ready for that. And Omni Man understands and doesn't really take offense to that. So good scene from both of them. Now to talk about that Nolan and Debbie scene in space, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. They will get back together. It's not gonna shock her, but at least the show would make an effort for that moment when they get back together. Because unlike in the comics, they just kind of had like two discussions and then get back together, which was really disgusting in hindsight. Like it was kind of way too quick. And I understand love is love, and see the person change. That up to your opinion on it. So I get why she got back with him in the comics. It was just they can't do that in the show. In the show, they at least give it like 4 to the whole season for them to get back together next season because ain't no way we saw Debbie go through depression and almost suicide. Like Iron Man almost killed himself too. But he did it out of cowardice, in my opinion. He did it because he realized, man, I don't have anything left. I can't go back home. I can't go back to Viltrumite. I don't really have anything. And he was pretty much about to kill himself because life was too hard. Debbie about to kill herself because she thought her life was over. But she pulled herself together, helped Mark in ways that needed the most. Like, respect to Debbie. She one of the best moms in media right now. And that's no contest. That's a low bar, but like, honestly, still got to give her respect. And the fact that she is willing to at least put her feelings aside for Oliver really goes to show that she's really one of the strongest characters in the show emotionally. Like not physically, probably not. Well, emotionally, I consider her top five, but that's also a low bar. But the point is, Debbie's a great character, and they're gonna get back together. But I hope they put in a lot of work. Don't just have them get together at the start of the first episode. Make it work throughout the whole season, so it'd be somewhat acceptable and understandable, and actually a good thing that they got together again once Omni Man stopped being a mass murder killer. But anyway, good on Debbie. This relationship go to be good, and I really can't wait for the development of this. Now we get a fantastic scene of Caesar being concerned over Mark well being, and honestly, gotta give credit for Caesar to still take care of Mark, even though they don't all agree. Like honestly, I'm not shocked at what he did to Mark. I still think to this day it was a stupid thing he did because Mark is the strongest hero on the planet. You pretty much beat him at to be a like left pocket, like phone, like ready to fight at any time for you. So I still think what Caesar did was stupid, but this scene really does show that Caesar does care and that he's willing to help Mark in any way he could, which leads to the another hallucination. And these hallucination scenes are so great, only because honestly, yeah, I'm not shocked that he got to this point. Man had to kill people this season, except that Sunrise can be saved. Killed a lot of people, mainly like two. And except that he can't always save everyone, he can't always do the right thing. And the fact that violence is the answer really weighs heavy on him, which conclude with him getting pretty much the hallucinations because after what he did the Viltrumite, yeah, I would have been heated too if I was like the Viltrumites, and if I was Mark, I would have nightmares too. Because they could come, he can't stop them. Even there were 10 Viltrumites, he can't stop them. Even the whole world come together, they won't be able to stop the remaining Viltrumites. And I will be getting nightmares and hallucinations too. My only gripe with the hallucination is one of them involved Anastasia, which I'm pretty sure that's her name. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, she's gonna have a key part, quote unquote key part. Not important like oh my god, I can't even describe that scene. I need to wait until it's gonna happen like next season, most likely. But yeah, she's gonna play a part with Mark, which you know. But my point is, the only problem with hallucination is it should have been just dragged throughout the hallucinations. Like pulling up, like drag got like three hallucination scenes and Ananisha got one. I think it would better if drag had all the scenes. It could show how much drag is in Mark head because say what you want about Mark, at least he could contend without the voting rights now. Like before Luke, like the black guy, Luke, like he pinned Mark that with a finger. That was vile. That was dirty. That was wrong. But now Mark could box Luke in 1-on-1. Like respect the Mark for being able to box Luke in 1-on-1. But drag is no different. Literally last episode and this episode, Mark 100% full speed, throw a punch, boom, nothing. Bro, to hit so hard it impact the frames, and it still left no mark on this man. And the fact that this episode took like I'm getting ahead of it, but I need to talk about now. Drag returns. Mark tried to punch him, did nothing, and Drag started weaving his attacks. He didn't have to do that, but he did anyway, and that what makes these scenes so good. That's my only gripe is that Anderson should not have got one because Drax got all of them because he's gonna be the big bad villain for like the remainder of the show, and it should have just been him. It would have been a nice setup moment for their future conflict and whatever. But that's my only gripe with the hallucination scenes is that it should have just been one character instead of one character and another one. But since Anderson does play a part in the upcoming show, yeah, I get it. She gets one scene, but yeah, just great scenes of hallucinations, and just I'm really happy that Shizu does take the time out the day to check on Mark, make sure he's okay, because honestly, Mark really does need help at this point. Like Mark really does need some professional help. He can't keep doing things and think he's gonna walk away fine. He could come back physically okay since Voldemort's Pennymeal got like the best healing factor besides besides Alan. I think Voldemort's got the best healing factors in the show that I know of. And maybe the immortal, but he doesn't really get a Zekai boost, so he doesn't really count. But like comes back physically better, but mentally he's still messed up. And yeah, it's good that he getting help because he really does need it, and he really does need to make sure he's okay because, like I said, Drag and the Voltron are on that planet, and they are ready to repopulate, and that's gonna send Mark even more of a crisis. I don't blame him. Like I said, the Viltrumites are on the planet, and things are getting real because Earth can't really stop 40 plus Viltrumites left, so they pretty much have to accept the terms. Like Mark have to accept the fact that they're there, and good on him for accepting it because he can't stop them, and it's better let them stay on the planet and be chill than start a fight they can't win now. Which that's pretty sad. That right now we could be safe. In the next 100 to 1,000 years, we're pretty much screwed. But yeah, not doing better than not accepting drug turns and pretty much get getting slaughtered. Which I pretty much find funny that Krieg is the only one getting into the planet so quickly, which this man really need to chill. That just go to show you that this man really need to chill because Rushmans should straight up, no hesitation, be the most racist people ever. Like the fact that not Krieg, Anastasia and Lucan is just so chill on the planet, just like, bro, they really could have just stopped fighting at one point. Like, I'm pretty sure they could have just ran away and then just hit on the planet. But Viltrumite and their pride is everything. So yeah, it's a good thing that Mark accepted the terms. And I do like this scene. I think it's equal to the comics. I think the comics, if you look at them 1-on-1, I think it's better because Mark is still his costume, his father's there, and Drag is just way built different. Like Ned is like a hawk in the comics, so he's way more threatening. So the fact that he asked for the answer and Mark said no, 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 my answer is, and then I'm pretty sure Mark said my answer is yes, which says so sadly because he pretty much have to accept it without no hesitation. Otherwise, yeah, him and Earth is screwed. So I do think the comics did it better, but the show it might be a better version because we knew the virtual was coming here. But the fact that they got by the end of the episode, it was like, okay, maybe they're not here. But then, boom, there was here. It was like, oh my god, I knew it was coming, but I like the setup nonetheless because, like, well, maybe they're not here. Maybe we're safe. And nope, they're here and we're all screwed. But nevertheless, I think the comic is better, but the show improved on it because Mark really thought they were safe until he realized he wasn't, and he would for a moment would just relax. But you know how it is. The moment he decided, oh, maybe they're not here, I'm okay. They're safe. We don't have no problems. That's a lie, and he had to come to the fact that not even his planet's safe. He's not safe, and he pretty much have to wait till the planet life is over, and he's pretty much screwed. So yeah, I really do like this scene, and even though this finale isn't better than the other ones, this is the weakest finale because the other ones had big fights, big conclusions. Even Enzo finale, which is not that good since he kind of showed up to be a twist final villain, like not a twist villain, but the final villain with no actual stakes in it. Like because Enzo would like set up in episode 1 and then came back in episode 8. He really just up and disappeared for a while. But my point is, he came back stronger in season 3. But but what I'm trying to say is, this is the weakest finale, but still a solid 7 out of 10 finale, especially finale scene. Still good nonetheless. And the Viltrumites are here. They're here, and Earth have no choice but to accept them. That's just how it is. But yeah, I really did like this episode. Now to talk about one more part of the episode that I've been saving because honestly I have no way to put in this video while jumping back and forth, and I've been on such a hard time to talk about. Now the scene I wanted to talk about, well, the scenes I want to talk about is Alan being the leader of the coalition, and honestly he doesn't really play that big a role this season since he just got in that position. But spoiler alert, he stays in that position throughout the whole rest of the comics. It's not a shocker. He's pretty much the other one. Yeah, I would have saved it if he somehow got moved, but he's pretty much the leader of the coalition from now and then, so it's not really that big of a deal. What is big of a deal is the fact that Thaddeus or Thetis pretty much have the Scourge Ride locked in the basement, and he's pretty much telling Alan, hey, use it, which kind of a selfish move on his part. Bo really said we'll use it as a last resort. But if he died, then just use it regardless, which is crazy because what happened if they won the war and they had one Voldemort left? Would he still have used it? And the worst part is I know what happened with this whole plotline. So I won't get to now, but let's just say the Scourge virus is way more dangerous than anyone realized. Way more dangerous than Alan realized, and even way more dangerous than Darius realized. Maybe I missed something, but I do know that the Scourge virus is just a last 100 more last resort. And the post credit scene is clearly showing he got to make the tough decisions now that he's the leader. And I think this is going to be also the moment where Alan went from the joke character to the serious character, which he pretty much does that in the comic too. Like oh my god, Alan as in his run in the comics is amazing. Which I really love the Invincible comic because the Invincible comics are about morality and it's shown in different form. And Alec is another great example of that. Because I talk about it, I think in episode 6, I talk about it with that one scene with Thaddeus, and how Thaddeus was like, "Oh, this is really nothing," and Alan was like, "Oh no, this is a lot of something." Which, funny enough, Alan go becomes like Thaddeus very soon, and in many more ways than one, he's gonna do things that only a leader will make. And best part is, a lot of people will agree with him. But yeah, this was a great season of Invincible. I think if I have to rank it, season 1, season 3, season 2, and season 4. But season 4 and season 3 can switch. Yeah, season 2 and season 4 can switch. Okay, 1, 3, 4, and 2 in my opinion, but that's only on the top of my head. And this was a great episode, a pretty good finale. Even though there was mostly talking, this was like a wrap up season. Like this felt more like an epilogue, honestly. No. Let me not go too far. This was just a good episode nonetheless. So yeah, I hope you liked my Invincible videos all the way up to this point. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.